Howdy, y'all. This is Taylor Ursula of That's So Pisces, and it's time to weigh out our Libra third quarter moon. So let the scales. I still haven't figured out how that's supposed to end, but here we go. All right, so this is the first lunation of our holy year 2024, year of strength, year of we're just glad to be out of 2023. And so on this third day of 2024, this third quarter moon in Libra strikes. And at 13 degrees, this third quarter moon in Libra is not terribly far from the south node, which is now at 20 degrees. And of course, the moon will meet the south node after it squares the sun. And I'll say too that about a week after this third quarter moon, the sun will also square the nodes at 20 degrees. And in fact, the square to the nodes will be a key signature to the new moon in Capricorn, taking place just a week after this. So we really see here that we're able to maybe move through quite a bit here at this third quarter moon that really primes us to create changes at that new moon in Capricorn. This third quarter moon is being ruled by a Venus who entered Sagittarius just before the new year. And on New Year's Day, just 2 days, wow, prior to this third quarter moon, Venus has walked into a square to Saturn and Pisces at 2 degrees. So that might color a lot of what we decide we are ready to let go of in this third quarter moon, which again is co-present with and will be meeting with the south node, which really adds an extra layer of emphasis to the release taking place in this third quarter moon phase. The south node, again, being a bit of a vacuum, something indicating to us and sort of surfacing situations for us around where we have been, to a fault, engaged in Libra bonds and contracts that are no longer supporting the person we are becoming, no longer fair, very Libra word, no longer balanced, no longer equitable. And this is energy we've been moving through since July of 2023. So this moon might be kind of showing us like a third of the way through this journey. We still have all of 2024 to go with these nodes in or along the Aries Libra axis. So this is sort of a third of the way through, like checkpoint place. So whatever comes up for us when Venus in Sagittarius squares Saturn in Pisces will be a lot of what we are weighing out here in this Libra third quarter moon. That square really bringing up for us where we are seeking freedom, perhaps, a Sagittarius theme, and where we are being restricted by the rules or the structures of the collective, very Pisces words. And so we might want to, or be curious to, or be compelled to explore something that we are being held back from in some way. And this follows up after all of these squares that were made by the planets moving through Sagittarius to Pisces towards the end of the year. We had the sun, we had Mercury, we had Mars all making these squares to Saturn from Sagittarius. And so Venus coming through and finishing out these squares may, again, similar to what we've explored in the previous lunations of this cycle, may be sort of the other shoe falling, may be sort of following up on something that was opened up by the previous planets moving through that we're then recognizing through our relationships to others, through our relationship to our resources, our finances, to our sense of camaraderie right now. Kind of an interesting time to have such an isolating transit happen, the new year is when we tend to come together to celebrate entering into a new time, starting a new chapter. And instead, we may find ourselves separating from old chapters and old friends and old relationships, old situationships, other forms of social contract we've been part of. And when the moon enters Libra on Wednesday, it immediately makes a sextile to Venus in Sagittarius, which really amplifies the clarity that we're getting as we approach this third quarter moon, because the moon is being ruled by and is in direct contact with and communicating with Venus. There's a straightforward element to this process that we're in now. From that communication with Venus, the moon then goes on to square the sun at 13 degrees and then opposes Chiron at 15 degrees. What we choose to release at this time, what we feel pressured to be done with, or what we realize we can no longer carry with us, may make us feel confronted in some way about that wound of being ourselves, of simply existing, right? Aries just is. There's not necessarily an agenda with Aries. It's truly just what we seek to explore. So there may be even further a connection here about what we're separating from at this time, right? Oppositions are very distance oriented. It's very me over here and you over there, and us needing space. And that may really tie into this first lunation of the year, the third quarter moon. The next day, Thursday, is when Mars enters its sign of exaltation, Capricorn. So we're starting off the new year with some oomph, with some drive, with some focus. So since this third quarter moon takes place while Mars is teetering at the edge of Sagittarius, which is the sign where Venus is hanging out, that may really ramp up the urge to just kind of cut something off, be done with something, right? Mars at the 29th degree of a sign is very compulsive, is very eager to move on, especially since it is moving into a sign that it traditionally reveres. So Mars may have us acting very flighty, very very fighty. Sagittarius again is sort of like, gotta go. And so it might just be like, I just don't have time for this. I don't have time to really debate this with you. I'm set in what I'm feeling and I'm good to go. So deuces. Thursday is also the day that the moon hits the south node. So again, just another thing that's ramping up that feeling of being done. The moon hitting the south node goes, oh yeah, just take it. Just like, take it away. All right. Just like, there you go. So we may really, really be starting the new year with clarity about things we can no longer uphold our end of, situations we can no longer give our trust to, situations that we feel are no longer unjust, and we are not really fearful of where we're going to connect next. We're just ready to be out of this. The moon in Libra also makes a sextile to Mercury in Sagittarius, and Mercury just stationed direct on New Year's Day, on the same day that Venus squared Saturn. So there's something here that's supportive. There's something here that's connective. Maybe we have cleared something out, but we're already getting new ideas about what we're going to be bringing in. Mercury direct, slow, moving slowly, but done with the work of retrograde and ready to move forward and to clear that shadow. Making this connection to Venus, who's just squared Saturn, may help us get clear on what we are moving toward now that Mercury is direct. And on Friday, we have this Libra moon make a square to Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees. So we'll keep talking about that 29-degree Pluto. We'll keep talking about that edge of a sign, right? Mars at the edge of Sagittarius, Pluto at the edge of Capricorn. Pluto will be moving into Aquarius later this month. So this is very much the edge of Capricorn. And so there is something maybe final about what we're deciding here. There is something maybe disrupted in some irretrievable way. We are really finalizing, right? In that square to Pluto, we are sort of cutting something off. We're sort of deflecting maybe some sort of power move, or otherwise deflecting some sense of crisis, or just kind of maybe we're running into some power issues, but we don't necessarily care. We don't necessarily need to do anything about that. That might just be sort of a reaction that happens after the fact. And it may be us confronted by our own insecurity in what we've chosen. We may feel like we are releasing something, and also some part of us is still really scared, still really nervous, still really there's a lot of finality to this. And so, like, are we sure? And yet everything else influencing this is sort of telling us, like, yes, boo, like we've looked through all the files. we've looked through the stuff. We are pretty certain that this is good to go. I should note too that on Saturday, the moon having already moved out of Libra into Scorpio, we have the sun come through and make a square to Chiron. Maybe that makes it really real. Maybe that makes it sort of official, whatever we've decided, whatever the moon confronted with Chiron and that opposition, it really sort of comes to light. It's really made known. And that may cause some sort of, again, confrontation is a word I love to use with squares, really may cause some discomfort is another good one. Are we sure? Do we trust our instincts at this time? And that is certainly something that we are also weighing out at this moon. Okay, so we're going to do a recap of the previous 3 cycles, starting with the Sagittarius new moon, moving into the Pisces first quarter moon, peaking with this Cancer full moon, and now waning and releasing with this third quarter moon in Libra. So we'll recap those cards, and then we'll pull for this lunation and get a sense of how this sort of lunation cycle is now coming to an end, wrapping up at the beginning of this new year, and kind of what we're preparing to make room to choose at that Capricorn new moon that is square to the nodes. Okay, let's do it. See you there. Okay, so taking a moment to do a little recap, we have our first line here connected to the Sagittarius new moon pole. Here we have our Cancer full moon, and no, I skipped one. Here we have our Pisces first quarter moon, and here we have our Cancer full moon. If you missed any of these, take a moment, click up here, take a second to revisit those narratives, get caught up, meet us back here, and we will do our Libra third quarter moon pull. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. A quick reminder that if you'd like to pull on your own using these spreads, you can head to my website, priestessbaby.com/store. I think it's store. It could be shop. And there's a free moon phase pull PDF. Go ahead, download that, and you will have all of the moon phase prompts. Okay, so we will be asking about the following. What is coming to a close now? My previous attachment to what is ending now. How I have made meaning from this process, and what I can begin to invite in at this time. Okay. We'll see how this Sag new moon narrative finally comes to a close. Okay. All right. All right, what is coming to a close now? The Four of Cups. Interesting. I'm curious what comes up for you when you see the Four of Cups. What's coming to a close is upright. Maybe we are done waiting. Maybe we are done weighing. There is some weighing that happens here in the Four of Cups. We are considering the fact that if we move forward with this emotional investment, it will be kind of locked in place. We will be building a foundation upon that. Where we hesitate in the Four of Cups is that we know that it kind of becomes a little bit permanent there, and we are unsure. Maybe we are still developing our intuition, so we're not sure. That's a water theme. So we're not sure about what we're really feeling about the thing. There may be a number of options in front of us, and so we're taking our time reflecting, or taking our time searching within before we choose. There's a fear. There's a hesitation, perhaps, in the Four of Cups. And if you've been here before, we've talked about this, where in the Four, we know that if we build on that, then we risk having to change that or losing something later. And we see that in the Five, which follows the Four. In the Five, something has spilled, something has been lost, something has been missed, something is no longer present. And so there may be like a premonition, or an awareness, or a paranoia, right? That can be two sides of the same coin, premonition, paranoia, of if I invest in this, then I might lose later, and I'm fearful of that. It will destabilize me if I miss that step, or if something happens to what I've built here. If we think about this in reverse, then maybe what's coming to a close is something that's built into that foundation, something that has been built in. Maybe we're taking apart one of the walls, right? We're taking a side off of the square. So perhaps when we see the Four of Cups here as something that's coming to a close, we could be seeing a chapter ending where we are hesitating. And let's think about how that applies to what we've discussed. If there's something that we've been wanting to back out of or back away from, and we've been weighing all the options, we've been waiting for the signs. Maybe we're done waiting for those signs. Maybe we're done waiting in general. Maybe we're done weighing out what we think is in front of us. My previous attachment to what is ending now, maybe doing all of this waiting, all of this pausing, all of this considering, all of this hoping for signs, maybe we're attached to that because it makes us feel emotionally mature. Maybe our attachment to what is ending is that, let's look at like a relationship, for example, be it friendship, marriage, anywhere in between. Maybe this other person represents something to us. Maybe they've helped us crystallize and stand strong in our own emotions. Maybe they have been the King of Cups to us. Maybe they've been the one who has held space for us to help pierce through this shroudedness and to find the light again, to find the rainbow. Maybe we're both, or all of us, play this role for each other, and it seems scary to walk away from that. It feels harsh to be done with something that's been supportive, right? And that can certainly yield this feeling of, well, I'm going to wait for more signs, because like things are pretty solid in certain regards. We've done a lot of mastery, like we've come to a place of emotional mastery. So maybe this feels really daunting. Maybe I'll miss this presence. Maybe I'm attached to playing this role, and that's what's kept me here waiting and not really choosing, is that I feel secure when I am the one offering the emotional strength. And so what if making this choice is going to kind of destroy or destabilize what has been stabilized, what has been allowed to grow? Looking at this reversed, my previous attachment to what is ending now. Maybe I've been waiting for me. Like maybe I've been doing this work within myself right? Maybe it's not me and another person, or maybe it's not that other person and what they've given me. Maybe I've been waiting while I tune into myself to figure out what I would need in order to be able to play this part, in order to be able to step into this role. And maybe that feels really safe right now. Maybe that is kind of helping us stay in the place of pause, is I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done with this. I'm worried that if I step away from this, the work I have started will deteriorate. How I have made meaning from this process. Or even like how I can make meaning from this process, right? Because we are letting go. And Mercury's gestation direct. So finding new truths. This has been a card that's come up for us a lot, especially towards the end of 2023. And how to make meaning from this is to break out of old meanings. Right? Like if we are hesitating and this is all really emotional, maybe we need to lean into some logic. Maybe we need to trust our mind, even if our heart is feeling attached, right? We are looking at Libra, air sign, moon. Maybe we need to get rational about it. Maybe we need to be open to the pursuit of new truths. This is all an old truth, right? This is all old stories. We're scared perhaps of who we are outside of those stories or what it will feel like to release those stories. But it's time to go pursue something new. It's a new year. Again, Mercury's direct. Mars is going to move into Capricorn. It's time to seek out new knowledge, seek out new frameworks, break out of old schemas, find new ways of being and thinking and perceiving the world around us. These are, the chains that bind, and relationships or situations or contracts, all those Libra things can absolutely become kind of that chain link around us that feels really confining, that we can't push up against. So it might be time to make meaning of this process by tuning into the rational, by assessing what kind of new ideas are possible for us. What I can invite in at this time. I almost mentioned this card while we were talking about these two. Particularly when talking about the King of Cups, I wanted to bring up that this feeling could be underneath all of this, right? So when I was describing, I've been the King of Cups for someone else has been the King of Cups for me. We've been a King of Cups role for each other, right? And that might be making it really hard to want to walk away. And that definitely feels very Eight of Cups because we've invested so much. We've built this ship together, right? We have sailed into this journey together. And maybe I need to be okay with the idea that it's time to sail away. Maybe I need to trust and invite in that exit, right? Maybe I need to be willing to invite in this sea change. And this makes a lot of sense building up to the new moon in Capricorn that we just discussed, which is square to the nodes. This is a choice that is difficult to make. This is a choice that causes us to hesitate. This is a choice that pulls us to resist whatever our heart is saying. We don't want to listen because we've made it all the way to 8. We've already made it this far into the suit. Why would I want to gamble when I've already made it this far? And yet we must remember that the 9 of Cups follows this, and then the 10 of Cups, and those are two of the most joyful cards we have in the deck. So this is sort of one of those late in the game reminders that it's never too late to walk away. It's never too late to start over. If it's in your heart, then it must be heeded. And maybe we can find a way to invite this in as gently as possible or as righteously as possible. Whatever we're feeling stressed about, we can focus on inviting in the kind of departure that will feel as right to us as possible. So many cups in this card. So many cups. This one air sign. And then correlating to Libra, of course. And like showing us that our minds can overcome challenges if we open them up to new possibilities. All right. This feels a little heavy-hearted, but also appropriate. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed, please like, share, subscribe. Next week, we'll meet to talk about that new moon that is square the nodes, and we'll talk about like what we're opening up and how we can welcome that change that is beckoning us forward. All right, y'all. See you then. Take care and Happy New Year.